Welcome to another episode of the Bark Brigade podcast by Dogazilla Magazine. Today we will talk about an important topic and offer you a guide to help all families that owns a dog or other pet.
And it's a topic that really changes how you look at the animal sleeping on your couch right now.
Oh, completely. I mean, imagine for just a second standing out in the middle of the screaming whiteout blizzard.
Right, where you can't even see your own hand.
Exactly. The wind is just howling. The temperature has plummeted so low that heavy machinery is literally freezing up, and the snow is actively erasing your footprints the second you step down.
It's a total sensory blackout for a human.
Yeah, a human rescue team is totally paralyzed out there.
Yeah.
But a dog is basically just getting to work.
It really puts our own limitations into perspective, doesn't it? I mean, we build all this incredible tech, but we're constantly humbled by what an animal can do just by, well, using its basic biology.
Which is exactly why we are jumping into this deep dive today. We're looking at this really fascinating source material from Dogazilla Magazine called Paws of Greatness, Extraordinary Canine World Records.
It's a fantastic piece of writing.
It really is. But let's set some ground rules for you listening right now. Our mission for this deep dive is to just completely ignore the superficial stuff.
Yeah, we are skipping the fluff today, literally.
Literally no fluffy coats, no longest ears, no measuring the tallest Great Dane that can steal a sandwich off your kitchen counter. We are throwing the measuring tapes out the window.
Which is a huge relief, honestly, because those passive statistics, they just don't tell us anything about the actual spirit of the animal.
Right, there's numbers.
Exactly. Today is all about understanding the courage, the intense loyalty, and the sheer biological superpowers that let these dogs shatter records. They outperform modern technology, and ultimately, they save human lives.
Action-packed, heart-pounding stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And more importantly, we're going to extract the underlying science here so you can apply these exact same principles to train your own pet at home.
I love that. So I want to jump straight into the deep end here, specifically into what the article calls the scent superpower.
The canine nose. It's a marvel.
It really is. We always hear dogs have good noses, but the source material highlights some brand new 2025 studies that, well, they pit canine biology directly against human-made machines.
And the machines lose.
Badly. And the scientists aren't just watching the dogs sniff anymore. They're literally mapping their brains using non-invasive remote laser systems while the dogs are actively running around.
It's incredible tech.
But I have to stop and admit some confusion right out of the gate here. How on earth are scientists shooting lasers into a running dog's brain without even touching them? I mean, that sounds like pure science fiction.
It sounds like magic, I know, but it's actually a brilliant application of optical physics. To really get how groundbreaking this is, you have to look at how we used to study dog brains.
Which was a nightmare,
Oh,
right?
totally. Historically, if you wanted to know what was happening in a dog's head, you had to bring them into a sterile lab. You had to shave patches of their fur.
Oh, the dogs must hate that.
They despise it. And then you apply this cold, sticky, conductive gel to their skin, attach these cumbersome wearable sensors, or even worse, you had to train them to lie perfectly, statically still inside a massive, roaring MRI machine.
Which just completely ruins the experiment, doesn't it? I mean, a dog lying perfectly still in a giant metal tube isn't acting like a normal dog.
Not at all.
They aren't tracking a scent through a forest. They're just trying not to freak out.
You hit the nail on the head. It created a completely unnatural environment, which gave us really skewed data. But these new remote laser systems, they change everything.
How does it actually work in the field?
Think of it like a highly advanced, invisible barcode scanner. The handler wears this small, portable device, and it projects a harmless, invisible spectrum of light near-infrared light right toward the dog's skull.
And it goes through the bone.
Yes. This specific wavelength is unique because it safely passes through the fur, the skin, the bone, but it reflects differently depending on the oxygenation levels of the blood flowing inside the brain.
Oh, okay. So as different parts of the dog's brain start working harder, they need more blood, and the laser reads that shift in real time.
Precisely. By measuring how that light bounces back, scientists can see exactly which specific brain structures are firing up, literally millisecond by millisecond.
While the dog is just running freely in an open field.
Totally unencumbered. And what they found when they pointed these lasers at the working scent dogs is absolutely profound. They focused heavily on this specific almond-shaped cluster deep in the brain called the amygdala.
Wait, the amygdala. I've heard of that in human psychology. Isn't that the part of the brain that controls the fight or flight response? Like the fear center?
It is often labeled the fear center, but that's a bit of an oversimplification. The amygdala is deeply tied to processing all intense emotions and linking those emotions directly to
Okay,
memories.
so it's not just fear.
Right. When the researchers monitored the dogs, they found that the absolute split second a dog detects its target odor, the amygdala lights up like a fireworks display. It just explodes with activity.
Wow. So it's not a cold, calculating moment for the dog?
No, not at all.
They aren't just registering a chemical compound like a computer processing code.
No, it's a massive, overwhelming emotional event for them. And this finding is crucial, right? Because it answers a decades-old question about why dogs just completely outperform our best technology.
Because machines don't have feelings.
Exactly. When an electronic sniffer detects bomb residue, it simply triggers a circuit and beeps. The machine doesn't care. But when a dog detects that same compound, their biology forces them to actually feel something deeply.
It's an emotional hit.
Hmm.
Let me try an analogy here for you listening.
Mhm.
I remember walking into my grandmother's house as a kid, and before I even took my coat off, the smell of her baking bread would hit me.
Oh, that's a perfect example.
Right. It wasn't just a smell. It was an instant, full-body wave of feeling safe and loved. It triggered years of memories in a fraction of a second. So are you saying that for a working dog, finding a hidden stash of contraband triggers that same intense emotional rush?
Yes, that is the exact biological mechanism at play. Because the canine olfactory bulb, the part that processes smell, is physically wired directly into the amygdala. There's no filter.
Wow, no filter at all.
For humans, we see something, we process it logically, and then maybe we have an emotional reaction. For a dog, smell and emotion are intertwined instantly. That emotional drive is why a dog will relentlessly push through briar patches or search for 18 hours straight.
Because they're emotionally invested in a way a machine just can never be.
Exactly.
This makes me think about the future of this tech, which the source material touches on. If these sensors can read the amygdala lighting up from a distance, we're looking at a future where handlers don't even need to watch the dog's body language.
Oh, the implications are staggering.
The handler could just wear a headset, and the device would whisper, "Hey, the dog sensed the danger right now."
Right, because sometimes a dog might catch a faint whiff of an explosive, but not show a full behavioral alert like sitting down because the scent is too weak.
But their brain still registered it.
Exactly. With this tech, you are essentially establishing a telepathic biological bond. The handler sees the hidden threat the exact second the dog's subconscious registers it. It removes human error completely.
It honestly sounds like a superhero team-up. But as incredible as this modern science is, we don't really need lasers to prove a dog's supremacy.
No, history proves it just fine.
Yeah, the historical records in our sources show dogs putting the superpower to the test long before we could map their brains. I want to shift over to some of these high-stakes sniffers, the trackers and the crime fighters.
There are some unbelievable case studies in there.
There's one story from the material that just completely blew my mind. It takes place way back in 1925. We are talking about a Doberman named Sauer.
Ah, Sauer.
A legend. Sauer was tasked with tracking a thief, and he followed this person's scent for an unbelievable 160 kilometers across the Great Karoo in South Africa.
That's roughly 100 miles of tracking.
100 miles over a fading scent in a brutal, arid landscape. How was that physically possible?
Well, to fully appreciate that record, you have to understand the physics of a scent trail. When a human walks, we shed thousands of microscopic dead skin cells every single minute. We call them rafts.
Rafts, okay.
These rafts fall to the ground, and they carry our unique chemical signature, along with our sweat and the bacteria living on our skin. So when Sauer was tracking, he wasn't looking at footprints. He was analyzing an invisible cloud of decaying organic matter.
And doing that over 100 miles in the heat of South Africa. I mean, the sun must have been actively destroying those scent molecules every hour.
The environmental degradation is what makes that 160-kilometer distance almost impossible to comprehend. The sun bakes the moisture out of the rafts, the wind scatters them, the dry earth absorbs the compounds.
It's like finding a needle in a desert.
Sauer's nose had to be so highly tuned that he could detect parts per trillion of human scent clinging to dry brush days after the person passed by. But beyond the olfactory power, what really stands out is his psychological profile.
Right. The text notes something that really caught my eye. Sauer's handler initially thought the dog was totally unfit for the job. He was described as wildly nervous, highly anxious, just vibrating with energy.
Which a lot of people misunderstand.
Yeah, I mean, I have to push back on that. If I see a dog shaking with anxiety, My first thought is, well, this dog is going to shut down or panic the second things get stressful. How does an anxious dog become a world record tracker?
It requires a fundamental shift in how we view canine behavior. We tend to apply human psychological labels to dogs. We see a dog pacing and whining, and we call it anxiety. We view it as a mental block.
Because it looks like panic to us.
Right. But to an elite trainer, that isn't anxiety. That is raw, unchanneled drive. It's a biological engine running at full speed with the transmission in neutral.
So the dog's just vibrating because all that energy has nowhere to go.
Exactly. When Sauer was just standing around, he looked like a nervous wreck. But the brilliant thing his handler did was give that engine a transmission.
He gave him a job.
He gave him a puzzle so monumentally difficult that it required every ounce of that nervous energy just to process it. Once Sauer put his nose to the dirt, the anxiety just evaporated. It transformed into pure, unbreakable focus.
That is such a fascinating lesson for anyone listening. We look at a high-energy dog in our living room, tearing up the couch, and we think we have a bad dog.
When really they're just waiting for a complex job.
Yeah, like Sauer, they just have all this wasted energy.
It's the tragedy of many working breeds that end up in shelters. They are brilliant minds trapped in boring environments. Sauer proved that what we perceive as a fatal flaw can actually be the exact ingredient needed for greatness.
Provided it's channeled properly. And we see that same obsessive intensity translating to the modern world too, specifically with dogs fighting violent crime. The source brings up Pablo the lab.
A phenomenal drug-sniffing dog.
Pablo spent his career working busy ports, and over his lifetime, he sniffed out more than a metric ton of illegal contraband. But his single-day haul is what's crazy. In one shift, Pablo found 300 kilograms of hidden drugs.
Which is an astronomical volume of work for one animal. Think about the sensory overload of a commercial port. You have diesel fumes, salt water, rotting garbage.
Industrial chemicals, loud cranes.
Exactly. A dog has to filter out 99.9% of that overwhelming sensory data to focus purely on the target odor.
But wait, wouldn't a dog experience olfactory fatigue? Like if I walk into a candle shop, after 10 minutes my nose just gives up. I can't smell the difference between vanilla and pine. How does Pablo sniff for 8 hours straight and not go noseblind?
That is where the canine anatomy is truly miraculous. When humans breathe, the air goes in and out through the same pathway. It mixes the new smells with the old, and our receptors get exhausted.
Right.
But a dog's nose has a complex system of internal bony structures called turbinates. They actually separate the inhaled air.
Really? How does that work?
A portion of the air goes to the lungs for breathing, but a separate dedicated stream is funneled directly to the olfactory recess at the back of the nose, where it gets trapped.
So they basically have a separate breathing chamber and a smelling chamber.
In a manner of speaking, yes. And furthermore, when they exhale, the air exits through those little slits on the sides of their nose.
I always wondered what those slits were for.
They actually create a tiny aerodynamic vortex that kicks up more new scent molecules from the ground to be inhaled on the next breath. It's a continuous pump of fresh data.
That structural biology is incredible. They just don't get tired the way we do. And the stakes couldn't be higher. The article mentions another dog, a pup in Colombia, named Shadow.
Shadow's story is intense.
Shadow was so proficient that he helped police seize nearly 10 tons of cartel cocaine over his career. 10 tons. And his reward for this? The cartels placed a massive cash bounty on his head.
It's a very sobering reminder of the reality these working dogs face. They don't know about cartels or bounties. They're operating purely out of loyalty to their handler and the desire to earn their reward.
Just a simple rubber ball or a game of tug?
Exactly. Yet, their biological gifts place them squarely on the front lines of incredibly dangerous human conflicts.
It really reframes the concept of a world record. It's not always a gold medal and a podium. Sometimes it's a bounty from a crime syndicate.
Yeah.
But I want to pivot here. We've talked about dogs braving the criminal underworld. What about dogs braving the literal elements?
You mean the search and rescue heroes?
Yes. Dogs fighting Mother Nature to save human lives. Water rescues and blizzards. This takes us into extreme physical athleticism. The text highlights a water rescue dog named Jack, a Newfoundland.
Jack holds an incredible speed record.
He swam 25 meters through the water to a struggling drowning person, let them grab on, and towed them back to safety in just 1 minute and 36 seconds. Now, 25 meters might not sound far on land, but in water, pulling dead weight.
That speed is terrifyingly fast. It is an elite athletic feat. And to understand how Jack did it, you have to look at the evolutionary history of the Newfoundland.
The text calls them biological tugboats.
It's the perfect description. They were genetically engineered over centuries by fishermen in Canada.
Break down the anatomy for me. Why a Newfie and not, say, a greyhound?
Well, a greyhound sinks, but Jack has deeply webbed paws, much like a duck. They turn his legs into massive, efficient paddles. His chest is incredibly broad, providing a wide base for buoyancy and housing massive lungs.
For deep breathing under exertion.
Exactly. But the real secret weapon is his double coat. The outer layer is oily and highly water resistant. It sheds water like a raincoat. But the dense undercoat traps a layer of air close to his skin.
So it's literally like a built-in life jacket.
Or a dry suit. That trapped air provides massive natural buoyancy. He stays high in the water column even when a panicking heavy human is dragging him down. He just uses his muscle mass to propel forward instead of fighting gravity.
But the physical attributes are only half of it, right? Because if I jump into freezing water to save someone, my heart rate spikes. I'm dumping adrenaline. I'm terrified. Does Jack know he's in a life-or-death situation?
That is the genius of the rescue training. No, Jack does not know someone is going to die. If he felt the human pressure of the situation, he might hesitate or panic when the drowning person grabs him.
So how do they train him to go so fast?
They completely remove the stress. To Jack, swimming out and letting someone grab his harness is just the most exciting giant game of fetch he has ever played.
So he's looking at a chaotic emergency and his brain just says, oh boy, playtime.
Precisely. You take the dog's natural affinity for water and retrieving, and you shape it through pure, positive reinforcement. He powers through the waves with record speed because he cannot wait to win the game. The joy shields him from the trauma.
That is beautiful. But let's take that concept and drop the temperature by about 60 degrees. The source material moves to the mountains. It tells the story of Rixie, a German shepherd finding lost hikers in blizzards.
Rixie is phenomenal.
Going back to our hook at the start. The wind is erasing all footprints. Visually, there's nothing to track. But Rixie catches a human scent from up to a mile away in a whiteout.
A mile away in a blizzard is almost inconceivable. We have to consider the thermodynamics of scent here. In warm weather, scent molecules rise and spread. In freezing temperatures, the air is dense.
So the molecules fall.
Yes, they shrink and fall, becoming trapped under the snow or freezing to the ice. It's a completely different puzzle than Sauer in the hot desert.
So how does she catch a scent a mile away if it's frozen to the ground?
Because the wind is a double-edged sword. It erases the footprint, sure, but gale force winds actually carry the scent cone horizontally. A skilled blizzard dog knows how to quarter the wind.
Quartering the wind.
Running perpendicular to the gusts until they hit that invisible wall of scent blowing off the lost hiker. Rixie pushes through the howling noise and the ice stinging her eyes because her amygdala is screaming that her target is out there.
It just proves courage isn't about being the biggest. A German shepherd is a medium-sized animal pushing into a storm that forces grown men to retreat. Her loyalty overrides her instinct to seek shelter.
The weight of these records isn't measured in seconds or meters, it's measured in lives saved. Every time a search dog pulls someone from a snowbank, they justify the thousands of hours of training.
Now, we've spent a lot of time on the loud, fast-paced heroics. Sprinting, swimming, bulldozing snow. But the material takes a fascinating turn here. It transitions to the quiet, still heroism of the veterinary clinic.
The blood donor dogs, this might be the most deeply moving part of the entire text.
I completely agree. The article introduces Sharwood, a Gordon setter. Sharwood holds a record that looks entirely different. He donated his blood 45 times.
And the math on that is incredible.
Right, 1 pint can be separated into red blood cells and plasma, saving up to 4 canine lives. So Sharwood's quiet donations rescued nearly 200 dogs.
When we usually hear world record, we think of explosive movement, speed, strength, endurance. But Sharwood achieved greatness through the absolute absence of movement. He achieved it through stillness.
I have to inject my own reality here. If I try to clip my dog's nails, it's a wrestling match. If we walk into the vet, my dog is shaking and hiding under the chairs. But the article paints this picture of Sharwood casually snoring through the blood draw.
Just fast asleep with a needle in his leg.
How is that even possible?
It requires a masterclass in temperament and conditioning. A vet clinic is designed to cause stress in animals. It smells like antiseptics mixed with the fear pheromones of 100 sick pets.
Oh, right. They can smell the fear.
Exactly. For a dog to willingly offer a limb and fall asleep in that environment requires an unfathomable level of trust in his handler and the medical staff.
So his record isn't just about the volume of blood. It's a record of temperament.
Staying perfectly calm under pressure is its own form of greatness. He just wakes up, eats some treats, and struts out like he just took a walk in the park.
It redefines what a hero dog looks like. Sometimes a hero is just a gentle giant taking a nap to help others. But connecting that quiet endurance of Sharwood to our next set of records, that mental fortitude to just push through discomfort, that's what's required for extreme physical endurance.
The epic endurance records.
Yes, dogs walking across the planet. The text narrates the emotional journey of Savannah, a rescue mutt who walked around the entire globe with her owner, Tom Turchich. They walked for 7 years.
25,000 miles, 38 countries, 6 continents. It's almost impossible to comprehend the logistics.
I can barely comprehend walking 25 miles, let alone 25,000.
Let's consider the biomechanics of a dog's endurance. A dog's natural gait for long distance is the trot. It's a highly efficient 2-beat diagonal gait.
Meaning their legs move in pairs.
Exactly. It allows them to cover ground with minimal muscular effort compared to a human's heavy, plodding walk. But even with that efficiency, the wear and tear of 25,000 miles on pavement and dirt is immense.
And the mental strain. I get tired of walking my dog around the block. Savannah wasn't just walking. She was actively guarding Tom in dangerous jungles, sleeping pressed against him to keep him warm in the Andes.
They were entirely reliant on each other for survival for 7 continuous years. It showcases the ultimate, unbreakable bond. Savannah didn't care about setting a record. She just knew her human was walking, so she was going to walk with him.
Driven entirely by pack loyalty, and there's a point the article makes here that I think is vital. Savannah wasn't some purpose-bred superdog. She was a rescue mutt.
It completely levels the playing field. It proves that heart, loyalty, and resilience aren't tied to a pedigree. A mixed-breed dog from a shelter can achieve just as much as a purebred with fancy papers.
The size of the heart matters more than the shape of the skull.
Perfectly said.
Now contrast Savannah solitary trek with another endurance record, Mitchell Rudy's record in South Korea. He walked 38 rescue dogs at the exact same time for over a kilometer to promote their adoption.
The sheer logistics of that attempt are staggering. Imagine holding 38 leashes.
My brain hurts just thinking about it. Walking one dog is a circus act. If they see a squirrel, they tangle your legs. Walking 38 dogs sounds like trying to conduct a symphony of leashes while blindfolded.
It requires a superhuman understanding of pack dynamics.
How do they not instantly turn into a 38-dog knot?
Dogs are highly sensitive to the energy of the human leading them. If the handler is anxious and tightens the leashes, the dogs feed off that tension and scatter. Rudy maintained an aura of incredibly calm, assertive energy.
And peanut butter. The text mentions peanut butter bribes.
The practical tools of the trade. Positive reinforcement is key. But his ability to project calm leadership over 38 distinct personalities is a masterclass in behavioral management.
He turned a potential disaster into a joyful parade. Okay, so we've seen physical endurance. Let's pivot to agility, intelligence, and trick-based records, because some dogs aren't built for a 25,000-mile walk.
Some dogs are just born entertainers.
The source compares these intelligence records against athletic feats, starting with Jif the Pomeranian. Jif ran 5 meters entirely on his front paws in a blistering 7.76 seconds.
Think about the biomechanics required for that. A dog naturally carries more weight on the front legs, but to lift the back half entirely off the ground, balance the core, and rapidly propel forward.
It's essentially a gymnast doing a handstand sprint.
It requires immense core strength and spatial awareness. It shows that small companion breeds, often dismissed as just lap dogs, possess incredible athletic talent.
And speaking of athletic control, Purin the Beagle, the soccer goalie.
Ah, Purin, a legend in the trick dog world.
She balances on her back legs and catches 14 mini soccer balls with her front paws in a single minute. She tracks the ball, adjusts her balance, and catches it. She even rolled on an exercise ball like a surfer for 11.9 seconds. But the crazy detail is her owner only practices with her for 15 minutes a day.
That is perhaps the most crucial piece of training advice in the entire article.
But wait, if I want to be a world-class piano player, I practice 4 hours a day. Why wouldn't her owner practice an hour a day to get faster?
Because a dog's cognitive endurance operates differently. When a dog is learning a highly complex, unnatural trick, their brain burns an immense amount of glucose. They experience mental fatigue long before physical fatigue.
Oh, so they just get brain tired.
Exactly. If you drill a trick for an hour, the dog gets frustrated, they make mistakes, you get frustrated, and the trick becomes a punishment. By keeping it to 15 highly engaging, treat-filled minutes, The dog always leaves wanting more.
You're building joy, not resentment.
Exactly.
And that joy is contagious. Wolfgang Lauenberger organized 14 dogs into a synchronized conga line. His 12-year-old daughter actually held the record before him. It shows these records are accessible to anyone with a playful spirit.
But there is one trick record that elevates playfulness to an unbelievable level of cognitive processing. Smurf the Border Collie.
Oh, right. Smurf performed a mind-bending routine of 32 completely different tricks in a rapid-fire 60 seconds. That's almost one trick every 2 seconds, nonstop. Spin, sit, high five, roll over.
To understand Smurf, we have to look at the breed dynamics of the Border Collie. They were bred in the harsh hills of Scotland to manage sheep out of sight of the shepherd. They have an intense, obsessive drive to work.
The famous herding eye, right?
Yes, a predatory stare. They are biological workaholics.
So if a border collie doesn't have sheep to herd, they'll herd your children or your cats.
Yes, which leads to behavioral problems if left unchecked. But Smurf's routine is a brilliant example of taking that intense herding instinct and channeling it into pure, choreographed showmanship.
He directed all that mental energy at deciphering his handler's rapid-fire cues.
It requires an astounding level of vocabulary comprehension and impulse control.
It looks like the human and the dog share a single brain. But observing all these unique records, what really stands out is that to the dogs, this doesn't look like work. It looks like play. It highlights the importance of maintaining a dog's emotional health.
A stressed, fearful dog cannot learn 32 tricks, let alone perform them under bright lights. Fear shuts down the learning centers. Joy is an absolute prerequisite.
Since we're diving deep into training and breed traits, let's look at recent science on how age and breed affect these cognitive skills. The article discusses a 2025 study on breed traits in scent tests.
This study challenges deeply held assumptions.
It really does. Researchers set up difficult lab-based smell tests and the results completely confused them. Border collies were outperforming hounds.
Which sounds impossible at first.
Right. Hounds are biologically constructed to trap and process scent. How does a herding dog beat a smelling machine at a smell test?
Hounds do possess superior raw olfactory hardware, but this study revealed that raw biological power is only half the battle in a complex puzzle.
What happens to the hounds?
They find the scent, but if the puzzle to retrieve the reward is too complex, they get frustrated and wander off. Hounds are independent. They don't need human direction.
And the collies?
The collies won because of their profound cognitive focus and intense drive to work with the handler. A collie was bred to constantly look back at the shepherd for the next command. Their desire to collaborate gave them the edge.
It's like a sports car with a massive engine losing to a smaller car with perfect steering. But the article also explores age. Data shows that after age 6, a working dog's raw sniffing speed starts to drop.
Which is an unavoidable biological reality. They lose a bit of lung capacity, their joints stiffen.
So they just retire at 6 and become couch potatoes.
Not at all. This is where the data gets beautiful. These older dogs compensate for the loss of speed with profound cognitive wisdom.
They use their memory.
Exactly. A 2-year-old dog might frantically sprint back and forth, expending massive energy. The 7-year-old veteran relies on highly methodical search patterns. They read the wind better. They remember where scents tend to pool.
They work smarter, not harder. Like a grizzled detective who knows where the suspect is hiding without running down every alleyway.
It's a perfect comparison. Handlers have to adapt their training to respect the veteran dog's physical state, lean into their wisdom, reduce physical strain, and keep their minds engaged through complex puzzles.
I love the idea of a veteran dog using a lifetime of wisdom to keep chasing greatness. Now, we've covered a massive amount of ground today. Lasers, tracking, blizzards, puzzles. Now, for you listening at home, we need to bring this right into your living room.
Because the secret behind almost every record holder we discussed is that they started as regular, goofy family pets.
Savannah was a shelter mutt. Jack was probably chewing on slippers as a puppy.
Tapping into their natural drive starts with kindness, play, and zero pressure.
So let's give some highly actionable advice. The article explains how to use simple nose games to boost confidence. It suggests hiding a smelly treat under a plastic cup on the floor. But I can hear a listener saying, my dog is just going to bat the cup across the room and eat the treat. That's not training.
That's a common hurdle, but it's part of the process. When you hide that treat, you wake up their primal hunting instincts in a safe environment. If they knock the cup over with their paw on day 1, that's fine. They solved the puzzle. Give them a huge reward.
So the goal isn't strict obedience right away.
The goal is building foundational confidence. An anxious dog feels like they have no control. When they solve the puzzle and get a reward, they realize their actions lead to positive outcomes.
Then you make it harder. 3 cups. Hide it across the room.
Exactly. They stop seeing training as a stressful chore and see it as a thrilling game.
Stacking small wins. And then the article transitions into positive clicker training, pairing a sharp sound with an instant reward, like chicken. But why do I need a clicker? Why can't I just say, good boy?
Because human speech is inherently messy and slow. Your pitch changes depending on your mood. That inconsistency confuses a dog trying to learn a micromovement.
And the clicker is instant.
It marks the exact millisecond. Imagine teaching Purin to save a soccer ball. By the time her paw touches the ball and you pull chicken out of your pocket, 2 seconds have passed.
She might be looking at the ceiling by then.
Right, and she thinks she's getting rewarded for looking at the ceiling. The click bridges the gap. It says, that exact paw twitch earned the chicken.
What if a dog is terrified of the clicking sound?
Muffle it. Put it in your pocket or use a clicking pen. The tool doesn't matter. The precision of the marker is what matters.
That is a masterclass in home training. But to wrap up this deep dive, we have to zoom out. The one common denominator connecting Savannah, Jack, Sharwood, and Sauer is trust.
The greatest record-setting duos are built on a profound mutual friendship, not dominance or fear.
A dog won't take brave physical risks in a dangerous world unless they feel secure and loved at home. You have to spend time just hanging out, giving belly rubs. That trust is the invisible magic ingredient.
It is the absolute foundation of all canine greatness.
It really is awe-inspiring. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. We talked about how optical sensors will soon let handlers read a dog's amygdala lighting up in real time. If tech can do that now, how long until we essentially share a single, seamlessly connected consciousness with our pets? Are we on the verge of truly speaking the exact same emotional language, mind to mind?
It's an incredible frontier to consider. It might just redefine our relationship with the animal kingdom forever.
Thank you for listening, dear Brigadiers, and if you have any questions, visit the source article on Dogzilla magazine at dogzilla.com. That was all for this episode, and until the next time, bye to all listeners of the Bark Brigade podcast.